Okay. So when we were talking about XML itself, we spoke that a typical relational DBMS will have the limitation of type of data what it can store. In the sense, you need to have a very rigid structure for. Just a second, guys. Okay. So you need to have a proper format for the data. Then only you can represent it using a relational DBMS. So that's why we thought about other types of data which can be or other type of databases we started working out. Now we have seen already an example for um, what you call document oriented databases where it's not in the format of a relation or a table structure, rather just some collected information which has a specific meaning with respect to a pair of users. So in such cases, how you will store them, we have seen with the help of XML. We started using XML and then we store them using that. So XML is one of the example. Like that, there are many different approaches which can be used to handle document-oriented databases. Now, on the other hand, we have, when you look into mobile-based applications, you will get a totally different set of data. You sometimes get a document, sometimes you get an audio file, sometimes you get a video file, sometimes you get huge amount of text content, animations. You mention it, you will have all different variety of data what is coming across. And if these mobile apps what you are using needs to have a database, then either your relational database will work, nor your document oriented database alone will work. You need to have some database which basically allow unstructured data to be stored. So the moment you say unstructured data, it cannot be represented using a table format, which means your basic requirements of having a language to query data will not work here. That means SQL is not there. So I can call such kind of a approach as no SQL approach. Okay, because you don't have an SQL mechanism at all available. You need to think about something different. So obviously you need to come up with some new database which doesn't go with a structured approach, doesn't go with a specific format for data. So that is why unstructured databases are introduced, and there are many unstructured databases came across. And MongoDB is one among them. And the very simple reason why MongoDB picked up, because MongoDB's format is very simple and its scalability is very, very high. And it can handle any type of unstructured data and very suitable for a mobile kind of an environment. Because of these reasons, MongoDB became very famous. Otherwise, there are many, many in unstructured databases, or I can say NoSQL database kind of structure. Okay. Name comes from humongous or huge data. I mean, like humongous is the term what we can think about when we spoke about huge amount of data. Okay. So these mobile applications, think of your WhatsApp. how much data it will be generating and it is storing there in a single day. If you are part of 100 groups, so many forwards, so many messages, so many video, audio messages, so many animations, you name it. I mean, how much amount of data probably you will be getting in a single day for a single user. So humongous amount of data, huge amount of data. So from that term, Mongo has been taken up and MongoDB. And it is written in C++ in 2009. I mean, 2009 was the first time the first version of MongoDB was introduced. Okay. So basically, the idea is to bridge the gap between key value stores. Now, when we talk about databases, other than relational databases, there are a variety of database approaches out there. So one of them is referred as a key value database approach. Key value database approach in the sense you have a key and its corresponding value. So every data is stored as a pair. You have a key and its corresponding value. So such kind of databases are referred as key value databases. So you have relational databases where it is in the form of a table, and key value databases are is another. So these two are two different directions. How I will combine them together or how I will bridge the gap between them. That was the idea when MongoDB was introduced. Okay, so on one side, you were talking about scalability and performance. On the other side, you were talking about functionalities. I mean, different ways to handle data and other things. And RDBM talks about that. And a key value database talks about scalability and very fast execution. Okay, so MongoDB is kind of a intermediate version between these two. I've taken the concept of relational DBMS also. I've taken the advantages of key value store concepts also, and then coming up with a new database. It is an open source document oriented database designed with both scalability and developer agility in mind. Okay. Scalability is required because you are talking about huge amount of data. So how big you can store that always gives you an extra added feature. Whereas on the other hand, you need to make it very development friendly. Then only you will be able to make sure that a mobile app developer is not like a software developer. The problem is anybody can comes into mobile app development. So they may not have really following a software development lifecycle mechanism and other things. It is typically an agile based approach is what they normally use. More dynamic, need based development is what they normally do. So in such kind of an environment, you need to have a database when you are introducing that should be very flexible enough to handle all the different various dynamic conditions. So that is what the basic feature of MongoDB. It is open source because anybody can contribute a forum and then you just have to add new features to it. You have the code available, so you can build around it, you can modify it, that is possible. It is a document oriented database. So, I mean, we are generally calling the term document oriented. XML is also a document oriented database. MongoDB, I rather like to call it as a unstructured database rather than a document oriented database. And instead of storing your data in tables and rows, as you would do with relational database, MongoDB, you store JSON-like documents with dynamic schemas. Or I can rather say schema-free or schema-less kind of an environment. Okay. JSON is a kind of a script kind of an architecture which you can use to store data in the form of documents. JSON objects are very popular in many of the upcoming or new development forums or platforms. You can see an example here. Name, Bill, eyes, blue, birthplace, New York. His alias is Bill, La, Yako. Location is this one, his boss details. So probably this is kind of an information about an employee. Okay, some information about an employee. Now, if you look into the entire MongoDB database, you can find such kind of many documents. And these documents are in the form of a key value pairs. Name is a key, its value is will. Another key is eyes, its value is blue, and birthplace is another key, its value is null. So basically, this looks like a key value pair. But the document is generated out of this key value pairs, and then these documents are combinedly called as the database for you. Unit object is a document instead of a row in relational DBMS. So if I have looked into this data in the form of a relational database, then I will have name column, eyes, birthplace, alias, occasion, those. All these would have been my attributes, or I can say my column headings, my fields in my database for the table. Some table name I can mention as staff info or something, and then corresponding to will, there will be one entry, one row of information would have been there. Now, instead of that kind of an approach, what we have done is we made it into a document which consists of key value pairs. Okay, so now if you say these documents are of not similar behavior, first one you see there are many key value pairs. Second one you see there is a subset of key value pairs. And third one on the right hand side, name and aliases, that is also a subset. And name, and if you see the bottom two, name equal to Ben, hat equal to yes. Now it is not even exactly a subset. Some key value pairs from the original, means the first document is there, but something new key value pairs are added. You look into the last one, name Matt, pizza, Digimo, something. So I mean, in that case, the key value pairs are totally different. So these documents are not really common behavior also. It can be any content. So this gives you the flexibility of storing different types of data, different combination of data into a common database. And that's what exactly we require in case of a mobile-based application. And this is an example of trying to figure out some information like user find one with an age 39. So if there is a document which says age equal to 39, then I will be able to figure out those documents which are having age 39 as a key value pair. So in the curly braces, what I have given is a key value pair. And I can search in my document and find out that these are the documents available where age equal to 39 is found. So how exactly you will say it is fast or not fast? I mean, we said key value pairs are basically designed for better performance. So scalability and performance was the two goals what is set for a key value kind of databases. So we said MongoDB is kind of a combination between key value pair and relational DBMS. So it should be good enough. It should be good in terms of performance. For a semi-structured and complex relationships, the speed of the database is very good. Why we mention only about semi-structured and complex relationship? Because this would have been very difficult in handling in a relational DBMS. So compared to relational DBMS, MongoDB will be very fast with respect to a semi-structured and complex relationship. If it is structured, then no one can even come close to what a relational DBMS can perform. That is for sure. But if the data format is not structured like that, it is semi-structured or it is unstructured, complex relationships, then obviously this one is very, very fast. MongoDB is very, very fast. This, you can see this, the relative speed of performance in terms of queries. Inserts per seconds, if you see, SQL is somewhere around 20 to 30, whereas MongoDB comes around 800 to 900. Now, if you look into the number of queries per second, what it can be handled by MongoDB, it is somewhere around 4,000 queries per second, whereas an SQL can handle hardly 400 queries. It is almost 10 times faster compared to regular RDBMS structure or SQL architecture. A MongoDB works in terms of querying the data. And that's what normally will happen, right? we need faster access of data. I mean, storing data is okay because when some information came to my mobile chat or something, I can still wait to get it downloaded and then stored into the database. Whereas on the other hand, when I'm querying something, it should be very fast. So for that reason, if you look into it, MongoDB, executes 10 times faster compared to typical RDBMS structure, whereas insertions are little slow, but still it is a better number because somewhere around 30 to 35 insertions per second is what a typical SQL can perform, whereas around 800 to 850 insertions per seconds can be done by this one. And if you look into the MongoDB's popularity, fastest growing job trend is coming from the MongoDB development platforms. Okay, after HTML5, the most sought after technology, what people learn and then get jobs is MongoDB kind of an architecture. That is mainly because of the startup companies. They all develop applications largely on mobile platforms or handheld devices platforms. They basically look for MongoDB as the ultimate source of database. So that's why MongoDB comes up as the best possible database platform for all these kind of applications. So that's why MongoDB is kind of the sought after technology area where people get jobs. And you look into terms of um, requirements for MongoDB kind of a document-oriented database. It has got around 200% increase. 10 years back data is what they are talking about. Now MongoDB has become kind of a standard. And then Google also, so Google searches, if you try to analyze, huge amount of queries are coming for understanding MongoDB or learning MongoDB or probably on MongoDB's various aspects. And 451 research groups on MongoDB developments. Because it is an open source platform, this is quite usual. Many companies are working on it. More research is happening on it. So basically, MongoDB is in its best possible growth rate, what some product can achieve. And MongoDB has came up with integrations with many of the platforms, many of the programming languages. From C, you can connect to MongoDB, retrieve data and insert data. C++, obviously it is possible because it has been written using C++. Erlang, Haskell, Java, JavaScript, .NET, Node.js, you name it, any platform or any developing for platform or a programming language, it has APIs available for MongoDB interactions. So any language or any framework, you have lots of options available. Now, look into the different NoSQL databases. We were talking about NoSQL. Now, NoSQL will be totally against or totally the other side of relational DBMS. So, NoSQL, there are different approaches, different ways in which people have developed NoSQL databases. One of that is key value that we have already seen, like a key will be there and its corresponding value. Such kind of pairs is what every data. So some of the commonly accepted examples of key value databases are Redis and React. Uh, Redis is one common name what comes up whenever you talk about a key value database. Then you have graph database. Graph database in the sense you connect them. I mean, I hope you know the terminology of graph. There will be vertex and there will be edges. So these vertices are connected with the help of an edge. So same way, each vertex is in the form of a data block, and these data blocks are connected using relations or called edges. So such kind of approach of storing data is there, that is called graph database. Neo4j and HyperGraphDB are two common seen examples for graph-based database. Neo4j is considered to be the ultimate graph-based database what you can get. And HyperGraphDB is kind of a commercialized version of it. Then you have document-oriented database. XML we are not listing here because we looked into traditional databases approach only. So MongoDB comes first because it uses JSON document concepts. CouchDB is another example that is compared to MongoDB. CouchDB is considered to be more simpler, but still there are many limitations in terms of speed, scalability. That's why it has not picked up to that level the way how MongoDB has grown. And then you have column databases where one particular feature, all the values of that particular feature for different records will be stored. So column-based approach instead of random row-wise approach, what we have seen in case of relational DB, column-based approach is another approach what is used by NoSQL databases. So in that there are two common seen examples. Cassandra is very famous, and then HBase. What exactly is NoSQL? It stands for not only SQL. So the moment you say NoSQL, it means that there is no SQL. No, it's not like that. Not only SQL, not only the relational DBMS approach. There are other approaches. So it explores the other ways of storing data. Non-relational data storage systems usually do not require a fixed table schema, nor do they use the concept of joins. Distributed data storage systems heavily uses these kind of approaches. There are two types of distributed databases we have discussed: homogeneous and heterogeneous. This heterogeneous distributed databases concepts evolves around these NoSQL databases. So you have something in Cassandra, you have something in HBase, you have something in GraphDB, and then you try to combine them together to format distributed databases. All NoSQL offering relax one or more of the ACID properties. What do you mean by ACID properties, guys?
Sir, atomicity, consistency,
Pardon me?
integrity.
Yeah,
atomicity, consistency, integrity, durability.
durability. So those are the basic features of a relational database. Your RDBMS works around these basic four principles. And all these NoSQL databases relax one or more features of these four features, one among them, one or more, and then come up with a new database approach. This is an example of a column family, that is HBase, how it works. Name and its value kind of combinations. It's always again for one particular column, all the details are stored like that. It is again a kind of a key value combinations, but the keys are of similar behavior, then they call it as a column based approach. When we talk about NoSQL databases, one point which comes out very strongly is the concept of CAP theorem. Okay, so similar way how ACID properties are the most important point, CAP theorem also is very important for an NoSQL database. Okay, and the three features of CAP theorems are consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. Okay, and most of the time these NoSQL databases will try to achieve at least two of these properties. Consistency means all the copies will have the same value. So it's like same like consistency, data consistency, whatever we talk about. When in a distributed environment, consistency seems to be very important topic, right? So the same concept. And the second one is availability. System can run even if parts have failed. It is referred as fault tolerance in some other context, the same concept. All nodes can still accept reads and writes. Partition tolerance, even if part is down, others can take over. So availability is the extreme version of fault tolerance. And partition tolerance means you are having fault tolerance levels. You have either backup or an option of other nodes to pick up the data, pick up the process what was carried out by the one which is gone down. So you can see how these different NoSQL databases are placed. Um, RDBMS, that is MySQL, PostgreSQL, and sort of things, as well as Vertica are Vertica. I mean, you have to understand again based on the color. All those what is coming in blue color are referred as relational databases. Green ones, key value pairs. Red colored ones are column oriented, and orange or maroon color, what you're seeing, that is basically document oriented database. So Aster Data, Greenplum, MySQL, PostgreSQLs are all different relational databases, and Vertica is another column oriented databases. All these ensure that consistency and availability is there. That means consistency means all clients always have the same view of the data. Whereas availability means each client can always read and write, irrespective of if some nodes are failing or not. Okay, so basically all these databases, whatever we mentioned, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Astrodata, Greenplum, Vertica, all ensures that consistency and availability is maintained in their approach. Whereas Bigtable, Hypertable, HBase, all are examples of column-based database. MongoDB, Terrastore, which are document-oriented. Caleris, Berkeley DB, Memcache DB, and Redis, examples of key value pair databases. All of them ensures consistency and partition tolerance. Consistency is common, but partition tolerance in the sense they even if a part is gone down, others will be able to make up for it. So that is what I meant by physical network partitions happens also, it will still will be able to do it. Whereas on the other hand, key value databases like Dynamo, Old Mode, Tokyo Cabinet, AI, and horizontal databases, or sorry, vertical databases like Cassandra, or document databases like SimpleDB, Couch, and React. All these make sure that they follow availability and partition tolerance. That means they never look into consistency part, rather they look into availability and partition tolerance part. Okay, remember this diagram carefully because a lot of questions can be asked on these aspects. So make sure that you have a clear idea on this part. So which databases follow consistency and availability, which follows availability and partition, and which follows consistency and partition. You should be knowing it. Even though MongoDB and CouchDB comes from same document-oriented databases and considered to be equivalent, uh, MongoDB follows consistency and partition tolerance, whereas CouchDB looks into availability and partition tolerance, more into fault management rather than data consistency. Consistency and availability is typically considered to be features of relational DBMS. So most of the relational DBMS follows that. And Vertica is one example of a column-based database which goes with consistency and availability. Otherwise, most of the NoSQL databases follows either availability and partition tolerance or consistency and partition tolerance. There is an example talking about a distributed systems where CA is not a choice, either AP or CP is what mostly considered. Consistency and availability put together will be difficult. That's why they normally go for consistency and partition tolerance or availability and partition tolerance. Okay. Available with uncoordinated writes. If a network failure happens also, if I choose availability, then consistency cannot be achieved. Each of them will be having separate set of data. If I choose consistency, then I will not have availability at all. And in a distributed database, availability and partition tolerance are more important. So that's why we typically pick either availability and partition tolerance or consistency and partition tolerance rather than consistency and availability. Consistency and availability achieving together is difficult in case of a distributed database environment. Now we have to talk about something called eventual consistency and Bayes properties that we will discuss in the next class. Okay. After that, we will be talking about hands-on working with the MongoDB, and in the lab sessions also we will talk about MongoDB to be used. Okay. So today we will wind up at this point. We will continue with the remaining part in the next class, that is tomorrow. We'll talk about the remaining aspects of MongoDB, theoretical aspects, and then in lab sessions, we'll start working on MongoDB. You will have to develop, and this weekend you will be getting your project questions. I hope you have passed the teams list to ma'am, right? Because
Yes, sir.
oh, fine.
I
You
sent
have,
it.
you have messaged her, I mean Teams, or how exactly? You have mailed.
Sorry, sir.
Have you messaged ma'am in Teams, or you have
No, sir. I
emailed?
messaged through WhatsApp. Ma'am replied to me that okay, I'll look into it.
Okay, okay. If you have that, you can put it in so that we can assign that topics and then I mean share that
Yeah, sure.
schedule.
Sure, sir. I'll put in the Teams.
So we will do that way. This weekend we'll
Yes.
give you the question so that we can start working on that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So thank you. Today's is done. We will continue the remaining topics in the next class.